What's up, Buck fans? You are watching the aftermath on 102.9, the Game Broad Street South Radio. You already know it's a Victory Monday, so let's get ourselves prepared for a hell of a show tonight. Today, the offense needs to be the heroes. Today, the Buccaneers offense need to be the one firing on all cylinders and firing the cannon. That's right. You heard it here first. Now, that was from the Bucs pregame show yesterday, but we're going to get into that. Good evening, folks. What's up, Buck fans? Again, Victory Monday. Welcome to the aftermath, the game on 102.9, the Game Broad Street South Radio. It's your boy, AJ Turnup in the house. Coach Slick, a.k.a. the British guy who's always fly, is on standby. But I want to repeat that again, folks. I want you to see what I said and how I broke things down. Today, the offense needs to be the heroes. Today, the Buccaneers offense need to be the one firing on all cylinders and firing the cannon. That's right. That's right. And we got our main man right here. There he is, Coach Slick in the house. How's
it
doing,
going,
sir?
brothers? How's it going? How's it going? We get Victory Monday again. This is going to repeat. We're going to three-peat.
Three-peat. That's right. Look, man, I just say this with humility, humble, grace, but I get to talk my shit. I honestly think Canales got the memo, Slick. If
we found
you watch
Coach
Buck fans,
he's not died. He's on the team.
Yes, and also the Bucs passed the ball. The Bucs established
the run,
a passing attack. Everything that we've been talking about, everything that we have been trying to explain. A lot of people out there owe Coach Slick and I an apology, which also you need to go and show your support for Coach Slick to get this opportunity as an intern with the Bucs coaching staff. Please go out there. It's about bucking time and watch. Give Coach Slick an opportunity. His accolades there. It further reinforces that we're not just two meatheads out here talking. We actually love the game of football. Yes, we're out here talking because, look, I said this on the Bucs pregame, Slick. I said the offense this week has to be the hero.
I think so.
They had to be. They had to kick it into that gear. And we've had our little controversies on here in a good way, all fun and games and love, that people thought that this Bucs offense was meant to be stalemate. No, I disagree. We have a lot of the firepower. You have to open the playbook. And that's what Canales did. And voila, the Bucs took care of business. We made shit look so easy. Third down conversions, I had never this was a signature game. Slick, do you agree?
Yeah, it was a signature game because everything worked. Defense was humming. It wasn't great defense, like it wasn't elite defense, but it was good. It was good defense. It wasn't great defense. It was good defense. But the offense took it to another level. Baker had his like a signature game where he kind of put himself and said, "Well, actually, guys, you may have to consider re-signing me." You know, I was really pleased with it. I said this like with people with frustrations of the offense not doing what they want. It takes time for an offense to come together, and it's hitting right. If this is the continuation, the run game has got better and got better and got better and got better, and we're seeing the continuation. We could have scored at the end just to ice the game if we wanted to and put that game into 40 points.
Yes,
but we didn't, and you know, I would have liked to see the 40 points, but
me too. Now that is something that we'll work on, but so many things happened. In a nutshell, Canales coached the best game of his career thus far.
Not Rashad White in the fourth quarter. He was just going boom, 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 boom. Well, you knew what was coming. It wasn't like the Buccaneers turned around and go, "We're going to pass this." They were telegraphing run, and they could not stop it. The run blocking has got much better. I think the blocking scheme is starting to click for a lot of the players. This now hasn't. If this continues and we go on and stretch this and say there's no reason to go knock on wood and say we can't go undefeated on this.
I did.
Can
What
you
did
imagine going on that spree?
I said that. I said that Slick did that. I said that last week. I
With
said
the
the
way
Bucs
it's all coming
happen.
together and the way
Yes,
the season's unraveling. There's a couple of things that's going to go on with this Jacksonville game. I believe that their quarterback is in concussion protocol. That adds to our favors. Like, okay, now this game isn't tough. It's not tough. Isn't as tough because you're not going up against the starter. Now we know the Buccaneers can tend to drop the pill against uh,
backups.
rookies and backups. So that's not the be all and end all. But at the same time, it should fill you with hope and thinking, yes, this is good. And it's just be patient. Dave Canales is starting to come into his own. The offense is starting to get it, just like we saw in the 2019 season. And that defense got to the last 6 games.
They
And
were
I
good.
remember going into the 2020 season, everyone's like, well, this defense, in the last 6 games was like lights out. If it weren't for James Winston throwing picks left, right, and center, they were stopping people. The only way teams were scoring was based off what they got from turnovers. I think
That's
the
right.
Texans games, they scored something. We held them to 20 points, but we
Yeah,
only scored 16 or something. So it was, I can't remember the exact score, but they didn't score a lot of points, and all their points came from turnovers and 2 pick sixes.
agreed. Absolutely. And that's what the thing was. That's what I told people. Now this offense should be able to be to a position where they can be average. I've said this all season, guys. If the Bucs offense can be average, it makes life easier for the defense. The defense didn't have to be elite this game. They didn't. They just had to be competent. And that's what happens when you get up early. That is something that we
And you go
was
blow for
always
blow
looking
because
for.
every time they countered with a field goal or something like that, we countered with something of our own. It was consistency.
Consistency in the past, as we always have. I've been telling y'all, the past will set up that run early. I knew that the Packers were going to be finished because Slick, I've never seen them so afraid. I've never seen a team so far so afraid and confused of what the Bucs can do. Now you're right. In the fourth quarter, we just said, "Fuck it, you can't stop it." Rashad White was on point. Godwin was unstoppable. They had no answer for Godwin. I honestly think Bruce Arians might have slipped Canals a few plays and said, "Hey, here you go. Keep Godwin in the slot." Godwin was
But
eating all day.
the learning from this is you can use Godwin, K. Dotton, and stuff like that in the short intermediate. You want to make that third down more manageable. Then give it to Chris Godwin because Chris Godwin can get some on the run, which is what he did at 90% on slants and goes and ins and outs. And let him run that route tree. Let him use his hands. Take him as your intermediate guy instead of trying to trust. It's felt like that. And no offense to Trey Palmer, but he is still a rookie, and these other guys that are on the team, they're still some of these guys are either not that good or they're not. They're still learning this. They're still learning this. They're still learning to become great players, and that takes time. Someone like Chris Godwin is picking it up much faster, and it's also the rest of them. Everyone on this team is learning this scheme. So I'm hoping that it continues and we get this because there's no better situation than finishing the off season going, okay, we don't need to fire our coach and we don't need to look for a new offensive coordinator. We just need to fine tune it. And we kind of got our quarterback. Like for the
Yes.
sake of argument, that's if the Buccaneers can walk away from this season. I'm not talking playoff implications here or anything. Let's say they go to the playoffs, they win one and lose one. This is the perfect, and that's the perfect scenario is winning the Super Bowl, but we're 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 a little bit far away from that. But
Yes.
you can't say never because if the offense plays at this level
Yeah.
consistently week in week out, and the defense plays to their level week in week out, there's no reason when someone like I'm gonna say the Dallas Cowboys, but say another team that's visited here in the Philadelphia Eagles, we were in that game. Imagine if you had this offense.
Yeah, but better yet, I do like that. You could say Dallas. Dallas is not a good road
Now,
team.
I think Dallas
But
is one of those teams we want to beat just because of what happened. It's a little bit of revenge.
exactly, but we can beat them because again, they're not good against their run defenses. Their run defense is looking shoddy, and Dak is
Dak is
got
Dak.
down to earth. And remember, the Cowboys, they're not good on the road this year. So, and remember, this year, you're right. Baker, he played his best because what did he do when he was in the pocket? He got the ball out quick.
This
And what did he
rollout,
do in
it was
rollout?
everything you wanted. It was everything you
Everything
got.
you want.
If as a Bucks fan, all the things that we've been calling for, you kind of saw a little. They didn't just do it exclusively. They mixed it up a little bit, and it was really, really, really good stuff. I'm really impressed. And then I sat there in the post game show and I'm looking at Baker's stats for the season. I'm like, if he does this, and it's like, because someone's asked the question as, does he deserve Geno Smith money? So I was like, okay, well, let's have a look at the two. Let's compare what we're really getting out of this. And it was insane on if he's on, Baker Mayfield's on track to have that kind of season. He's got himself 3,300 yards. He's never hit the 4,000 mark, mind. Never in his career. He's got 8 interceptions and 24 touchdowns. There's no reason that he can't get that into the 30 mark. There is absolutely no reason. Even if that's only 2 touchdowns a game, realistically, right?
And I think
and
he
then
will.
Getting the equivalent of what? 700 yards on 700 yards in 3 games shouldn't be impossible. You're talking about, even if he averages 300 yards a game or 250, and he's getting 250, he's gonna get that. And then he's got the 4,000, and he said, let's say he has a pick in every game for the sake of argument. So he goes 4,000 yards, 30 plus touchdowns, and 11 interceptions. That's a good cat.
Oh yeah, you have to sign him, but also
I won't sign him. I'm gonna franchise tag him.
Oh, absolutely.
What would you do? And I'm like, because the quarterback money's a lot. It really is. And we've seen teams do this. Like Geno Smith isn't as good as he was last year. So, and I always said to you, like we were talking coming into this season, that you don't want to go off a guy just based on 1 year because you don't know what the metric of that year is. Because if, let's say, for the sake of argument, Evans walks, which I don't think he does. I don't think he will. If the Buccaneers get to the playoffs, they don't have to win a playoff game. But I'm talking like if I'm in Mike Evans' shoes, Buccaneers get to the playoffs, he gets a couple more touchdowns to add to his list. So he's 12 touchdowns, I believe he is now.
I think he has 11.
Hang on, I'll have a quick look as we talk. But he gets that and continues to his stats. The Bucs make the playoffs with a winning record. Is it worth going somewhere else when you've built chemistry up with another quarterback who loves you to pieces, who, let's face it, got you the yardage, got you the touchdowns that you needed to look elite? You're gonna stay. You're both Texan boys as well, so why not?
Exactly. And also, we got a guest in the house, Slick. Let's bring him up. We got our buddy James Anthony Coleman from the 5th Quarter. He covers the Jacksonville Jaguars. Let's bring our buddy on. What's up, my man? How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Just happy to be here, guy.
Yeah, same here, man. First off, again, go Bucs in here. Were you able to watch the game?
Yeah, I watched a little bit of it right before I had to do we had with the station I work with, we did Sunday Night Football, so we had all of our stuff. But it looked like Baker had a day.
Oh yeah, Baker had a day, and Canales had a day. Both the coaches had a day. Bowles did something, my man, that Slick we died of shock. Well, first of all, he called timeouts in the first half. One thing that Bowles never does is call timeouts. He keeps them damn things. But then at the last end of the game of the 4th quarter, it's a 4th and 2. I was expecting the Bucs to punt. I don't know what happened, but my man Bowles he had all of a sudden he became a German Shepherd / pit bull with a little bit of Rottweiler in him and went for it. He was aggressive, and you know what happened? We won. That was our biggest issue with Bowles. He would play not to lose, but yesterday they played to win. And when you're aggressive, that's what happens. You put teams away. We have the arsenal to put teams away early, and that's essentially what we were doing. So I enjoyed that, man. But since you are here and you covering the Jags, let's discuss the Jaguars situation. First of all, what happened last night? I got a chance to watch some of the game, and it just looks like the offense on the Jaguars was like sputtering. Like, what was going on in your opinion?
There's a lack of consistency and a lot of injuries. The defense played very well for much of the game until toward the end. But the offense basically left 20 points on the field in the first half. You had 2 missed field goals, and then you had 2 opportunities where you were inside the red zone of the Ravens. Actually, it was three consecutive drives. You had a missed field goal, then you drove to their 20, then you got a turnover, an interception from Lamar Jackson, and then you drove down, and then you got the missed field goal, got a turnover, fumbled the ball. They score. Then you drive back down, and you get a big catch by Calvin Ridley. Get inside of the 5, and instead of clocking it, you try to throw a flat route. And the guy gets tackled in bounds, and it's collectively between guys not making plays, and then also guys showing that they have the football IQ of toddlers. And you can blame it on coaches because you're either coaching it or you're allowing it. But mainly it just comes down to Trevor's not being who we thought Trevor would be at this point. It's not that Trevor can't be it. It's just that right now, even earlier in the season, he has not played like you would like a CJ Stroud in Houston has played. Like other guys have played. And you need a game manager, which, again, Cam Newton got in a lot of trouble for saying. But anybody who really covers football or knows, there's nothing wrong with that. Game managers will win you a lot of football games. Don't put us in situations where we can't score. But you can't make that many trips to the red zone and come away with no points. And I think that's really what ended up hurting the Jaguars, whose defense did come to play very well.
Yeah, they kind of sound like the Bucs. How many times, Slick, have we done that? We've gone somewhere and then we sputter. I think
both teams have their leading rusher was their quarterback.
Oh, wow.
The leading rusher for both teams was their quarterback. I mean, it's no surprise with the Ravens, really, is it? But
yes,
for it to be Trevor Lawrence, and is he in concussion protocol?
He's in concussion protocol right now, so he's probably not going to be able to play this game. It'll be CJ Beathard, who's not really great. We saw him finish the Bengals game, and I believe it was the Bengals game. And again, just the offense does not move without that. It's kind of thing where they've put a lot of their eggs in the Trevor Lawrence basket. And when the offense goes as Trevor goes. And it was better earlier in the season when you had Tyson Campbell, where you had Cisco on the D. You had most of your secondary was healthy. So you were able to at least play really, really sound defense and be able to hold up for an entire game. Well, now everybody's banged up and you don't have any weapons, and you're really out there struggling.
Yeah, no, I can dig that. And I never want first of all, I want Trevor to be healthy in the long run because I want him to play. I like him, but if he misses the game, I will not be upset. This is the perfect opportunity for the Bucs and the offense. If anything, I would love to see our offense match up against this Jags defense. To see where we're at, to see this is the type of team that you play on a defensive side to see, okay, what do we have what it takes? Because if we can dominate a Jags defense, then we can prepare like later on down the line for Eagles type of defense or a Dallas type of defense.
I'm gonna be honest with you, we're nowhere near as good as those defenses. Those defenses have D lines that wreak havoc, especially the Eagles when they have they basically have the Georgia Bulldogs national championship team on their defense. And the Cowboys those teams actually do a really good job of rushing the passer. Now, I will say this. If Josh Allen wakes up and decides that he's one of the best, that he's a defensive MVP candidate, then you may have some trouble. Your left tackle may be in for it, but Trayvon Walker is not going to be a guy that's going to be able to get that kind of penetration, and our linebackers don't bring that much pressure. So Baker has enough athleticism to be able to extend plays. While I don't expect him to be like Lamar Jackson, but I do expect him to be able to scramble a little bit with the option and the hope to be able to look in to get the ball downfield, which is really, again, where the Jags are struggling on defense because they just don't have – like if Tyson Campbell was healthy, you would see a much better – you would have the guy who can go follow your number one wide receiver. But the Jags don't really have that right now. They're basically the acronym JAG, just a guy. But like a lot of guys right now. But what's wild is this is why I always tell people the difference between the NFL and college and how bad the Jags were for years. Good coaching can make you average in the NFL, and that's where most people are at. You get good coaching with some good players, that's going to make you a playoff team. So in all of this, maybe pride comes in. I've always said this, on the AFC side, you win 10 and you're in. and they're everybody, the top 3 teams in the AFC South are all tied right now, and everybody's waiting for somebody to lose. And the Jags, the only saving grace is that the Jags have the tiebreaker.
I got that. Yeah.
I'm just looking at the division right now. That is competitive as fuck. Damn. That is a tough. But that means there's extra spice in this. That means the players will be should be extra motivated because they know what's on the line. Because it's a bit like us in the sense we got the Saints nipping at our heels. We can't really afford to lose games. We know that realistically, it'll probably come down to that Saints versus Bucs game, realistically, because there's only a game between us, right? So if we were to lose to the Jags and then we beat the Saints, then we're back on even keel and we've already beaten them once. So, but it's that level of like when we get to this part of the season, which is so exciting because some of these teams are really knocking on the door of the playoffs, and some of these teams are on the precipice of trying to get in. And some teams are trying to solidify their spot. So that's what makes this part of the season real spicy for me.
It's also what makes the NFL a better product than everybody else. You got quarterbacks injured and nobody's out of the playoffs. Like they're just going to keep letting them play, and because games got to get played, and it's it's great.
Right, and and again, I know you're diehard. You played your FSU, so there. My condolences because they did y'all dirty. That was very disrespectful. I did not appreciate that. Again, I'm a fan of the game of football, not of football politics. And you said it before. I remember you told us this last time. We can only complain so much because the powers that be who has it, they'll say, hey, you're going to watch next week anyway. So, I feel you. But I want to ask you this because this is something that I've seen certain Jag fans go back and forth. Now, do you think that Trevor has what it takes to take it to the next level, or is he what people have said? Maybe he is, a game manager.
I think. I'm with Cameron. There's nothing wrong with being a game manager. I think the quarterback position has been falsely inflated to be that guy. There's very few game changers. Like the game changers at quarterback. Let's be honest. Are fun on video games, but they didn't win a lot. Like game changer at quarterback, Michael Vick. Game changer at quarterback right now, Lamar Jackson. And Lamar Jackson will get you to the show, but when it comes time to it, it's in the snow or the pressure's on, he hasn't been able to get to that Super Bowl yet. And that doesn't mean he's bad. It just means he's not a game manager. A game manager, the best quarterbacks basically play point guard. If you think about that point guard in the 90s NBA, he was able to distribute the ball to the playmakers, and when he needed to, he could kill you with the dagger, hit the dagger with the three-pointer. Like, that's just what they do. When you think about Tom Brady, what they did with the Patriots and how they didn't even have a running game, but their short passing game was so lethal that it basically acted like a running game. And when he needed to go downfield, he knew exactly when to do it. I remember trying to think I was going to get Tom Brady and just win a ton of fantasy football games with him. Now, that's not the guy you draft to win fantasy football. Obviously, you guys would know covering the Bucs, but if you want to win games, there's nobody who's done it better than him. And that's kind of what they need Trevor to be, is that guy, but have the ability to be able to extend plays and do some stuff. But right now, his football intellect is what's more questionable than his skill set. We know he has a cannon arm. Hell, if you watch the game, you saw that. That was the part of the problem. He's throwing the ball too damn hard. He can move, but can he understand the nuances of the game? Can the game slow down for him? Can he be the leader that is going to take to be able to make your team better, everyone around you better? And while this is year 3, we'll see next year. But I do know there's a good chance that he'll lead the Jags to back-to-back playoff appearances, and you don't get rid of guys who do that. So I believe they're stuck with him for at least the better part of the next 4 to 5 years. So he better be it.
Mm-hmm. I think I agree with what you're saying. I just hope that the public can be fair, because you know how sports people are. The way that Trevor is going through it right now kind of sort of reminds me of Baker. Do you remember when Baker, being the first overall pick with the Browns, the expectations were set so high that as people who don't understand the game of football, you know this very well, James. It's not, you can't just immediately just think somebody's always going to go out there and things are going to be great. It takes time. And just because it doesn't get to where people expect it, it's not a failure. You have to be patient. The Cleveland Browns were not patient with Baker. The organization was not doing what they needed to do. They were going in one direction while Baker was going the other. OBJ was an IG honey instead of actually being on the field focusing. The coach, again, didn't know what the hell he was doing. Baker got injured, and then they didn't give him a chance to heal. Now, I guarantee you, and then when he's look at it, he was a journeyman. He kind of went through what, do you remember when Kurt Warner, after his glory years in St. Louis, he became a journeyman and people thought he was done until he went to a team that actually had a good coaching system and players? Baker is in that situation. You're with the Bucs. You got Evans, Godwin. You got a new coach, OC that actually believes in you. I hope they do that with Trevor. Be patient. As you just said, third year, guys. Be patient. He'll get there. I think personally, y'all need another receiver.
We do. When Christian Kirk is healthy, like if Christian Kirk,
yes,
Zay Jones, and Calvin Ridley were all there, I think it would be and you added Evan Ingram. Now you have a completely different offense. You have something where you have to balance. But right now, Christian Kirk's hurt. Zay Jones tweaked his hamstring. Calvin really hasn't been playing to the level of which everybody was expecting. Parker Washington, rookie wide receiver, he's had some flashes, but it's hard to play in this league when you don't have anybody to throw to. And we abandoned the run very early. Travis Etienne is a really good running back, and they don't consistently feed him. They don't give him, and when they do give it to him, it's sparse and it's not anywhere where he can get a rhythm. You got to get him over. You got to get him to where he's at that 70, 85-yard mark. So you got to feed him 10 times a game. It's not going to work. You got to get that to him 15 to 20. I actually think a lot of the problems that the Jaguars have is when they try to make Trevor throw the ball too much. I don't think their win percentage is very high when Trevor is throwing the ball over 40 times. You want to make sure you get him to a situation where it's controlled, you're playing time of possession, and you're keeping your defense off the field. But one of the things that the Jacksonville Jaguars as an organization is different is the city does love a winner. The city also does not have unrealistic expectations. I have no idea why the Browns have expectations or why a lot of franchises have expectations. The Jags were really good when they first started, but then haven't really had that consistency in winning years. 2017 was amazing. It was fun. But last year was cool as well when you won your home playoff game, got a chance to go on the road, battle against KC, play them very tough. If they can go consecutive, then you may start seeing expectations be had. But the Jaguars for over a decade, even including the 2017 season, were averaging 4 wins a year. Like that's not a lot of wins. Like it's probably easier to win a Super Bowl than it is to lose as many games as the Jacksonville Jaguars lost over that in the 2010s. But you know, so that kind of leads to where you have to have patience. You have to have hope when you see something. Whereas I have no idea why the Browns why the Browns were like that.
Hype.
I think they just thought because they could get hold of someone who of the talent level of Deshaun Watson that they were instantly getting an upgrade, and it just hasn't worked out that way because it's just not that simple.
Yeah, guys, we know this. It takes time. You can have a lot of talent together, but that doesn't mean if they gel, they don't have chemistry. If the coaching is not going in the right direction, we've seen disastrous teams with a roster that looks like it was good. The Bucs went through that under Cutter with Deshaun, Evans, OJ, Brait. We had a squad, but it didn't work out. We went. So again, but I hear what you're saying. Now, I do want to say this though, because and I know we'll talk about the Bucs and the Packers just in a second, but I want to get this in your opinion right now. If Trevor, let's say Trevor is done for another 2 games, and let's say if the Bucs do beat the Jags, in your opinion, do they cancel the season or do they keep fighting?
No, you keep fighting. You've got Trevor's in concussion protocol. He's not out for the year. You have no idea. Actually, at that point, we played a 425 kick, right?
Yes.
So you'll probably be able to see what happens with the Texans and the Colts at that point. And you end the season with the Panthers and the Titans. The Titans who basically have folded up the season. So you've got 2 games that you could definitely win. So even if you only need to win 2 more of them. So even if you do lose to the Buccaneers this weekend, and even if you have to play CJ again against the Panthers, like you gotta like your defense against that team that even in the win, they won 9-7. I think the Jags are good enough to be able to score 12 points on the Panthers. So you just got to, and with the Panthers not having no coach, they're going to probably be ready. I think it's New Year's Eve. They don't want to get out of this game, hop the flight back, spend time with the family, see the fireworks, and life is going to be good. So, and that'll be the last home game in the bank. So I think they got a lot to play for. Again, the playoffs is really unlike college, again, where you want to play for the national championship and only one team does that. In the NFL, and you have to win according to that most of the time. The NFL, your goal is to get to the playoffs. You would like to have the first round bye, but now only one team gets that. Your goal is to get to the playoffs and at least have the first round, the one home playoff game. But you want to be trending in the right direction when it matters. So the Jags right now are playing for the opportunity to have a home playoff game.
I can dig that.
Absolutely. Yeah, I just want to get the biggest game here is even if they do lose, they have to go ahead and see what's going to happen with that Colts and Texans game. Only one of those teams can win it realistically, so that really does set up what's going to go down. And then it's going to be if the Colts win it, which is probably what I can't remember how you guys done against the Texans.
Well, we split. We split with the Texans, so we have all the time. We have all the tiebreakers, no matter what. But we want to be able to. I would much rather the Colts win.
Yeah, you want the Colts to win that game because you've done them twice, so that will in your favor. So I think it really is all to play for. I mean, the Colts play the Raiders. The Raiders did win, but hey, it wasn't. It was a special win, but you don't know they're not going to keep that consistency. And then the Falcons, who have just kind of fallen off the cliff a little bit, but. They're going to be invested too, so you just don't know. This is why I said this is the part of the season that gets more spicy because there's so much more on offer. Because you're like, ooh, there's so much more tagline, storyline. I love it. And then we look at the Texans. I believe who they got. I'm just having a quick snoop. They go Browns. Everyone seems to play the Titans at the end of their season, and then of course they got the Colts. So. Yeah, I mean it's all to play for, man. Like, there's no. If I was the Jags, I wouldn't want to walk up and say we're packing up the season. Not at all, because you've always got to believe that you're in it until you're not in it. Until you know what you are out of it, you're in it. That's that's our philosophy, right? That's the way I've always thought. Until I'm told it's done, I'm fighting for it. And to be honest, I'm probably still fighting for it because it's pride, man. Like, at the end of the day, this is football. People got livelihoods. There's money on the table for some of these people, and there's just having a good season. I don't want to be one of those, and coaches too. There's coaches that are looking potentially. An offensive coordinator wants to prove himself to be a head coach, or a defensive coordinator wants to prove himself to be a head coach, or a head coach who wants to keep his job. Those kind of things are in play, and those coaches want to keep their jobs too. So everyone really wants to compete. Let's face it, the only people who want to pack up seasons and stuff like that are probably head offices.
Plus, when you're this far into it, you don't get a good draft pick anyway. So you might as well go ahead and try to get to the big game. But which I'm not thinking they'll do that. But it's again, all you have to do is win 10, and that's what I've been telling people: win 10, and that'll get you in on the AFC side. And while it should have been easier, which is crazy, because had the Jags taken advantage of the Cleveland Browns Actually, the wild part is this: they lost to Cleveland, they lost to Cincinnati. Shouldn't have lost to those, especially the Cincinnati loss coming where Trevor got hurt, but you're still in that part. You get a chance to play teams that aren't fully healthy as well at home again, and you get a chance to go out and see what they can and see what you can do against these guys. You should be, if your defense comes to play, like, to get that home playoff game, so you could get not just get to the playoffs. You have consecutive years where you have at least one playoff victory. And that's something that can help build, because in the offseason, when you're looking at the free agents, you can say, hey, here it is. We're a wide receiver away. We're another D tackle away. We're this away. So it's kind of like you're helping with your recruiting, because now you're saying we're one of those up-and-coming young teams that you're going to want to be a part of.
I agree. And look, I'm here to tell you, if Josh Allen, the Jags pass rusher, if he wants to come to Tampa, but we can't afford him, but if he was willing to be like, hey, man, I'll take a decent little discount price, that would help this defense, because let's get to the Bucs right now. Like you said, same position, we fighting, but the difference, I do think, and both you can chime in on this, if the Saints lose this Thursday against the Rams, I don't think that mentally and locker room wise, they're not going to be able to recover, because then it's almost, and if we beat the Jags, it puts them in a position where they're literally in no form they're not in control. Us winning helps, but that's why I say for the Saints, the most important game for them right now is this Thursday. They cannot afford to lose. If they lose, and mind you, it's an NFC conference game, so that hurts. That takes a dip. If we lose, it's AFC. Doesn't matter. But I just want to go back to this game, though. And I said this earlier, like I said, James, that the Bucs offense needed to be the hero. That's one thing Slick can attest to this, that I just been preaching all season. If this Bucs offense can be average and the Bucs defense plays above average to great, they will be a 10-win team. And it's still there, possibly. I was very impressed with the offense. As you said, for you, it's opposite for the Jags. When Trevor throws too much, it's bad. For the Bucs, when Baker doesn't throw enough, it's bad. When we run, we're not that good of a run yet. The way they use Rashad White, you would think Allstar's out there. But I think we're getting better, because now the line is getting more familiar with how to run, like the blocking scheme, but also this game showed with the passing, Slick can attest, that passing against the Packers weren't prepared for that. They were prepared to stop the run and keep this game close. And it looked close, but we were able to pull away because we were aggressive.
And it's just again, the Buccaneers, is impressive what they've done. It's been the AFC South obviously is looking like it's trending a little bit better, but both the AFC South and the NFC South for the last few years haven't been the best conferences in the NFL. But it does look like what makes it exciting is that it looks like it's going to go down to the wire. So with three teams being in it, even the Falcons with eight losses, they could figure it out. If they win this weekend, they're playing one more game to make it interesting. They're not effectively eliminated unless they lose this game. So those are just things that just kind of make you continue to go home. And again, like I said, with the Jags, you can afford to lose this game, because all you have to do is win the next two, because you do know that somebody's going to lose in the Texans and the Colts game. You know for a fact that's going to happen. And you're looking at who those guys finished the season with. They've got a tough road to hoe as well.
Absolutely. I mean, for me, I look at it, I don't think it's that bad for the Saints, because at the end of the day, the Saints have just got to beat us. But they've got to beat us convincingly, because they can't win by a point. And I'm not sure how the tiebreakers work, because we did beat them quite well the last time we played.
26-9. We beat them 26-9.
But I think they have to kind of beat that deficit for it to work, which I don't particularly see happening, but stranger things have happened in the world. So I don't think there's a mega pressure. And you've got to remember, it's that in-house NFC South kind of showdown for the crown. That's what it could be. That could be the showdown for the crown. Could be what that game is billed at. So there's always extra spice for the players to go out there and want to get it. And I think the Buccaneers players have stepped up to it multiple times when Bowles is technically undefeated versus the Saints as a head coach. So that always plays in his favor, plays a little bit into his favor. But there's a first time for everything. There's a first time for everything. We saw that with the Bucs when we went on to win the Super Bowl. We hadn't beaten the Saints in a while, and then we beat them when it mattered, and that's all that mattered. So I don't think I think the NFL heads kind of want that game to be like one of the it's the penultimate game, right? It's the penultimate game of the season. It's the penultimate game for whoever wins that game is going to win, because it doesn't matter what happens after that. Realistically, whoever wins that game is going to the playoffs, and they're probably going to win the NFC South. For sure.
I agree.
That'd be the opportunity to play the Cowboys, right?
Yes. Cowboys or the Eagles, depending on who win. If the Eagles lose tonight, dang, yeah, we'll play either the Eagles or the Cowboys. Honestly, I don't know. The Cowboys, and if you disagree, James, please speak up, speak your mind on this. But I think for whatever reason, the Cowboys, when I think of them, I don't see them as a defensive unit, like unity of teams. I just see a bunch of talent, but they're in a way like selfish and more when something goes wrong, it's this person's fault. And they're not unified, and that's why they always tend to collapse. And that's why I would rather play a team like that, because when the tough gets going, I don't know if Dak is a totally different player when he is down or when it's time for him to be the big dude. Like when he's up, when the team is up, they're good. But when they're down, I don't know. I feel like Dallas is more vulnerable. I'd rather play them. And besides, that'll be a little revenge game for what they did to Tom last year.
Yeah, they're not very great. They're not obviously the Eagles have the experience in the playoffs of making a run. And the Cowboys don't have any experience making a run like that. So, and Dak, we saw what happened. When Dak is bad, Dak is really bad. Dak made me very upset. I've been trying to get into prize picks. Everybody's been telling me you got to get into it. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna have a little fun, right? I picked Dak to do something, and Dak just said no. Dak decided that this is what you get for gambling, and I'm going to choose to not perform well. And I was just it hurt my heart, man. It really, really hurt me. I thank you, Dak, for punishing me.
I picked them to upset the Bills, and oh boy, my buddy was like, "Yeah, you shouldn't have did that." I'm like, "You're right," because that just killed the entire line for me. I was like, "Well, again, like you said, they're just a team that's good, but they're not the Bucs." The simple fact that we beat the Packers the way we did, it shows that we can be a dangerous team, because now this is the perfect time for this offense to take that extra step. Because I've always said the issue with the Bucs is that they don't take it up to the third and fourth gear. We always typically sputter at the second gear. Because now I think Canals has seen the light where it's like, you know what? This pass will set up the run. This pass, we don't necessarily need Rashad to run for 100 yards. What he did yesterday was sufficient. 89 yards on the ground, good yards. They weren't running into a bludgeoning wall. They weren't bludgeoning him. So that's what gets me excited, Slick and everything. I saw a team wanting to win. And again, Jordan Love didn't have a bad game, but Jordan, he missed a lot of opportunities, especially when they got to the goal line the first time when he threw that ball away. So I was just impressed. Now, on defense, we did our thing. James, I hate cushion coverage. But overall, the defense did their job. So I was happy about that.
I mean, and you'll probably see I would do a lot of that with the Jags. Don't let Calvin really is a guy that if he's running his routes good, he can beat you deep. He's the guy to take the top off of the defense. But if you're doing that, then they're gonna try to take advantage of you with Evan Ingram. Work in the middle of the field. Actually, both of our tight ends I can't think of the other tight end's name off the top of my head right now. But both of them are pretty Evan Ingram's more of a wide receiver type target. The other one's a bigger target. And then I'll say they're going to have to expect a lot out of the rookie, Washington. And, he's had some big catches. He's also had some big drops. But, what you got to hope is that, you guys got to hope that CJ or Trevor, whoever's playing, continues to have terrible football IQ, because we have definitely seen our fair share of bad football IQ, and our special teams is horrendous right now. We went from having a guy that couldn't miss to, ever since he missed in Cincinnati, when we played Cincinnati, he has really been struggling to find his way, making kicks that matter.
Gotcha. You're right on that. I think for us, in my opinion, though, if we play a rookie and it's not Trevor, I would put the pressure on him. I would make the quarterback uncomfortable. I know that you said Calvin. Yeah, I know that you say Calvin is good at, he can beat people, but all we need, because if the quarterback and him don't have a chemistry, all we need is that one jam that knocks them off the route, the timing, that split second, and the pass rush will get there. Because as much as I love the Bucs on defense, we don't have a premier pass rusher at this moment, and it's not consistent enough. So that's why I think the secondary has to help this our front seven to get to the quarterback better, or we use blitzes. But
the Ravens did that. They were able to get some pressure with blitzes. You don't have now I will say that Cincinnati, Cleveland, obviously had some guys that were being able to get there. Ravens not so much, but the left tackles, the offensive line situation with the Jags isn't that great. But if your front seven's not menacing, then that could not bode well for you. But I'll say this: if you are bringing pressure, I'm not even mad at it. Makes sense. Load the box is what the Ravens did. Load the box, force you to beat us with your arm. They did that to Trevor. I would definitely do that to Trevor or CJ, whoever's at the starting quarterback position. But the only thing that I see that could be scary is that could make this game look a little bit better for you guys than obviously what the Ravens game, even though it ended up looking like a pretty dominating performance. I just think it was, if you watch the game, it didn't look as bad as what the end score was. Is that if your offense is putting up numbers and your defense is constantly giving 3 and outs, it's going to be a long night for the Jags. And I think with what Baker's been able to do with his arm and the Jags having a weakness there. Now, I don't know your offensive line situation. Now, again, Josh Allen could wake up and put somebody, give your left tackle a long night. And Trayvon Walker is a very strong defensive end. He's not a devastating pass rusher, but he's a guy that can get there. But it's really with the injury to Trevor, the injury to Zay Jones, Christian Kirk not being there, it really leaves the offense severely lacking right now coming down the stretch.
I agree. Slick, I'll let the coach talk right here.
We'll go into that. So offensive line has been pretty much the same as it has been. There's no real injuries to it. It's pretty much where it's been at for the last while. They have given up a couple of sacks, but it's usually in the middle rather than at the edge. It's you got Tristan Wirfs there, and Tristan Wirfs has just been Tristan Wirfs. Luke Goedeke is a second year player. He's playing his first year as a right tackle. So whoever's the left tackle is Tristan Wirfs, and that's a key matchup. If I was the Jags, I'd probably move him to go against the right tackle, who is a little bit more inexperienced and not a Pro Bowler and not one of the better tackles in football right now. And he could eat there. He generally could, and the Buccaneers would have to try and scheme around that. But other than that, I would send the pressure down the middle, because that's where the Buccaneers are probably lacking. He's got better over time, but on our defensive line, it's been the Kancey show. It's been Yaya Diaby, the second round rookie, and then of course Vita Vea just creating havoc in the middle. it's the edges that haven't been as good. Like Shaq Barrett is starting to come off a little bit. I think he's starting to show the wear and tear, the signs of kind of breaking. He's still good. He's just not elite. He's not at your boys level at the moment. He's dropped off from that for sure.
After 2021, Shaq has not been Shaq, and that's okay. It comes with the territory. But yes, again, I would like to if I were to play the Jags, make them one-dimensional early too. We cannot allow you guys to establish a run game either. Run defense, and the beginning against the Packers, we were looking crazy. Aaron Jones was going off. Then we finally settled in. But yes, I think that the Bucs need to. We pulled away from the Packers at the end of the fourth quarter. If Trevor doesn't play, it's no excuse, in my opinion, not to try to put the Jags away by at least halftime. At least be two possessions up. Try to be up at least by 10, because that's another thing that this Bucs team is gonna have to do now that to establish momentum when we play later on, especially if we want to get in the playoffs, because we're gonna have to be able to match people, especially if our defense comes up short, because we don't know if the injuries with Carlton Davis is still going to be there. Devin White has most likely played his last down, which is good riddance. That might bring out better playing Britt. Now I'm actually excited for Britt Slick. The reason why I say that, this could be another game that he can. I think Britt's confidence is getting better and better, and is showing in his play. He had a hell of a game against the Packers. So if anything, that might be the answer to our question when Devin White is gone, Slick, that we don't have to draft another linebacker.
I mean, they get to have a look at him for another 3 weeks, potentially 4 or 5. You never know. And that's something that they've got to really do, and they've got to assess that, because at the end of the day, this is a big season for the future of the Buccaneers, in the sense of, like, Levante David's already said that he's quite happy to take 1-year deals. He turned down the Bills to go to the Bills. Ultimately, they signed somebody else. And he took a smaller deal to stay in Tampa. Now, the guy is from Miami, so I doubt he really wants to travel, especially if you want to go to a cold weather city. It's kind of not as much fun, I imagine. And he's still playing at an incredibly high level, even at his, I think he's year 12.
Yep, 34 years old.
Maybe even year 13. I'm not entirely sure. I think he's drafted in 2012, wasn't he?
Yeah, 2012.
Yeah, 2012. So yeah, he's got that, and this is a really big deal, because the Buccaneers have got to make decisions of what they're going to do in the future. This team makes the playoffs, and even if they're just competitive in their playoff game, just James says, you will have an opportunity to get guys to come and go, okay, we weren't great in the playoffs, but we were a playoff team. We're a divisional winner. We feel like we got the quarterback. We feel like we got the OC. We are such a pass rusher away on defense. We're an extra safety away on defense. We're this away, and we think you can be that guy. And then you bring those guys in. You have you have your draft to fill in a few spots here and there. We know that the first 2 picks are probably the most important for the development of your future instantly, rather than down the line. A lot of the other players are more role players, and then they become backups and grow. But the first 2 picks you kind of usually have to hit on, because potentially they can both be starters if you nail it. So yeah, this is a big part of the season for the Buccaneers. They need to win, and they need to have consistency. The run game's been pretty good, so I'm pretty pleased with what we got out of that. I hope that continues, because that's been the one thing. You said something about the point guard, and I love that, because that's something that Dave Canales in his original press conference said that's what he wants his quarterback to play like. He doesn't want him to be the guy who's taking it all on his shoulders, and it's going to be me running the ball or making all these high-risk throws to win games all the time, because we know that could be a recipe for disaster versus good defenses. When you do try and put too much on your shoulders and think, I've got to do everything, that is a hallmark for you're going to fail at some point.
That's why it's the ultimate team game. When you look at who the best team right now in football right now, San Francisco 49ers. Again, it's no disrespect to Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy does a phenomenal job of making sure the ball gets distributed properly to the people who make plays. And it also doesn't hurt having a generational talent at left tackle, having a generational talent at running back, possibly the greatest white running back we've ever seen. A generational talent at wide receiver in Deebo Samuel, and also and also having a phenomenal D line. So those are the things that it's a very simple sport, man. People just make it more complicated. And I think what happens is the people who have played it are not good enough ambassadors when we go to the media. And we allow people who have never played this to make this game way more complicated than see the person in front of you, smash them in the mouth. You do that more times than not, you're probably going to have success. But that's really where the game is at.
I love that you said that, James, because I heard something today that pissed me off. And as for someone that knows the game, Shannon should have been ashamed of himself talking down to Baker, saying, well, was he the guy that he was supposed to be in Cleveland? What does that got to do with Baker now? Baker is doing what he has to do.
Right.
And mind you, can you imagine the pressure that he has dealt with? Brady, the GOAT, you just left. As you know, James, people thought this damn Bucs team was going to win 2 games. I kid you not. The ceiling for us was 4 to 5 games. I'm sitting here like, okay, Evans is still here. They act like when Brady left, Evans left, Godwin left, Vita Vea wasn't here. Now, but Baker is doing his job. But again, also, we talked about earlier, they got to be patient. And I think sometimes the media, because Slick has had to tell me, they do things called fluff. Sometimes I want to say, Shannon, if you're going to talk fluff, just wink, wink, and I won't say anything. But
you have to realize this is that so I watch incredible amount of football throughout the week. Everybody can watch the Thursday night game because it's Thursday. Everybody can basically watch the Monday night game because it's one game. It's on Monday. Sunday night, typically easy. But you can narrow it down to 2. You can put your TV down. You can split your TV. If you got YouTube TV, they can even put multiple games on there. The problem is most of the NFL games are played at 1. And on top of the other commitments that Shannon probably has, and anybody, I've told people this about Stephen A. Smith, it's impossible to be that well-versed on everything because it's only 24 hours in a day.
So
what happens is these guys are given information and they're given facts, and they're going based upon assumptions that they make from what they've seen. And he probably hasn't watched much Tampa Bay Buccaneers football. All he can remember was that what Baker wasn't in both Cleveland as well as Carolina, and you're just automatically assuming. Like, I'll be honest with you, I kind of watched more this past game. But I'm sitting here thinking, oh, man, but I've seen enough stats where Baker's kind of come off, and I'm like, well, damn, Baker's having a good season. It also helps that I have a couple of friends who are Buccaneers fans, and they'll talk trash to some other friends that are their members. They were talking about who's going to have the better season, the Bucs or the Jets. And obviously the Bucs are doing way better than the Jets. But if you don't know, you're really just going off of this. And what those people, it's debate radio.
Yes.
We've changed intellectual arguments, intellectual discussions into who can play the dozens. It's basically the cafeteria. The things that the teachers told you that you shouldn't do are the guys who are becoming the most successful. It's how can I make this barbs? How can I be witty? How can I take this and turn this into 2 hours of entertainment or however much entertainment? And that's why it gets personal. When you think about what happened to him on Undisputed, Shannon was getting them. Shannon's more witty than can't think of his name right.
Skip.
Yeah, the Skip is way more witty than Skip. And what happened was Skip made it personal. And that's kind of but if we look at social media, that's what happens on social media. When I'm getting the best of you, like when Cam Newton makes a statement, it's no longer about the argument. It's about, well, look at how he's dressed. Like now you can't win the argument, so you have to shift to something that you can win. And unfortunately, that doesn't help the fan learn more about this great sport, which I think Shannon should be an ambassador or a guy that's really telling us about the inner workings, especially as a pioneer of the tight end in the passing game. Like he's
100%. And that's my thing.
I think you nailed
when Skip said that, yeah, he forgot that he's talking to the greatest, to me, the greatest tight end who ever played the game, who revolutionized the position. And like you said, sometimes it's just personal bias. Skip will never dog the Dallas Cowboys, no matter how trash they are. And it's like, bro, they're not going anywhere. but yes, I agree with what you were saying though. Now, it's getting a little late. I'm gonna ask you these final questions, and then we're gonna let you do your thing, and you can tell us what you got working on and where people can find you. Because again, as you said, he nailed it, Slick. What is your honest expectations of this game if Trevor does play or if he doesn't? What do you think the outcome would be?
I think if Trevor plays, I like the Jags. I like the odds of the Jags winning a lot more, mainly because he'll be able to. You'll have the guy who's been getting the majority of the reps, the feel of the offense, and he'll be able to attack it. If he doesn't play, then I look to see the Jags try to simplify the offense, try to really establish the run, and really just try to shorten the field by playing great defense, and trying to force Baker to have to make the throws that they want him to make, and not sit there and have time in the pocket. If it's CJ, I would definitely give the Buccaneers. I'll give the Buccaneers the victory. If Trevor comes in, I think that because I believe they're going to win 2 of the next 3, and I don't think they're going to try to push it to try to make it be the last 2. I do believe that the Jags will win. They have a great chance to win if Trevor's playing, but because I'll say this again, they have not played bad football the last 3 weeks. They just have not been consistent. They haven't played consistent football. And that's what's really killing them. Like offensively, again, they should have easily scored 20 points on the Ravens in the first half. They scored 30 points, I believe, in back-to-back against Cincinnati and Cleveland, both of which have really good defenses. It just the defense didn't show up. But if the offense and the defense show up, you'll see a much better product. But I do believe Trevor's not going to play this game, so I guess that would be a moot point.
No I don't think he will. I think the ruling is that you've got to be concussion free of concussion symptoms for X amount of time, and I think it's like something like 5 days.
Right, and he's in league protocol too, so it's not like the Jag.
Have to clear. I'm just going what I know in the league that I coach, and it's got to be like an actual week or something like that. Which, let's face it, if you got knocked out, if you got a concussion on a Sunday, you ain't going to come back until Monday.
Unless you got the Miami Dolphins medical staff, because remember they threw Tua right back out there. We thought Tua was dead.
They should have been sued, but damn, but yeah, no. I appreciate that. Yeah, so let's just, Trevor, just get some rest, man. Go to Donovan McNabb, get you some Chunky Campbell soup, and y'all go chop it up. And just, Jacksonville's about 50 degrees, so you ain't got to worry about nothing. But no, thank you, James. But we appreciate your time and, of course, always giving us that good intellect. Tell everybody if you got anything if you're working on anything and where people can find you.
On Twitter at BigGameJames_36. But on YouTube at Den Media Group right there. What we do is we have a few shows that we do. We have Big Games BS, which is a live show Monday, Wednesday, Fridays at 9:30 a.m. This week we'll be doing tomorrow on Wednesday. We'll have national or early signing day, so we'll be doing heavy college. But the biggest thing is we're 169 subs away from 4,000 subscribers. Every time we get to one of the thousands, so 4,000, 5,000, 6,000, we give 10% of that in money. So once we get to 4,000 subs, we give away $400 live on Big Games BS, and then we do a second place prize of however many likes that show gets. So it could be $400 to one person, and then another $200, $300 to someone else. We talk about sports life and whatever randomness that we get. So it's a good, fun show. We do a lot of film breakdowns. So if you want to see Jags film breakdown, you want to see Florida State breakdown. Over the summer, we'll be doing a lot of that, just random games where we'll break down the offense and the defense so that you can learn a lot about the game of football. I mean, football doesn't have to be complicated. It's very simple.
I like that. I'm a big believer in that too. Simplify it.
Thank you. And as always, James, thank you for your time. We do appreciate you. And do your thing out there. And again, thank you for breaking it down. And as he said, folks, keep it simple. I love it. But James, you have a good evening, and good luck with the Jags.
All right, man. Appreciate you.
Appreciate
Take
it,
care
man.
of yourself,
Appreciate
man. And now as you guys see, the Buccaneers are trying. Ooh, let me back it up. There you
Yeah,
go.
that was weird.
Now let's
I love that there are two big game, James, that we know now.
Exactly. I love it. I love it. Let's look at some of these comments that we have. Of course,
Yeah, we had quite a few comments.
yes. So we didn't forget
only
you
allow
guys. We
13
didn't
points
forget you
because
guys.
that's it. That you take away the short field, and it's hard not to. It's probably pretty hard not to score when you're that close. When you've only got like 4 or 5 yards to get, you could trip and fall and score a touchdown. It's very, very difficult. And then it's the deflation of like you've literally just got off, now you're back on.
And you see this right after Baker. I think Baker, when he sitting in the pocket, I saw something that I haven't really seen from Baker. He actually, after he stopped doing that dumb shit and sitting in the pocket so long, if you see for the rest of the game, that he wasn't in the pocket forever. He got that ball the fuck out. And what do we always say about Otten Slick? The Bucs were challenging the seams. The Bucs we were killing the seams. Otten was looking good, and your boy Keith, guys, Slick predicted this. I wish we could go back to the exact moment. He said Keith would be out there. If you look at it, they did not expect.
He's such a decoy runner because no one's going to expect him to get the ball, and his hands aren't amazing, but they're good enough here and there.
Where he goes, damn it!
Don't get me wrong. There's been drops and what have you, but one thing I really liked about what James said, and it's really a good thing about how much film there is. You never really thought about it. So if you were to watch Thursday Night Football and then you watched Monday Night Football, and we did have some Saturday games, so that's a little bit different this year. But on a typical week, you got a Thursday night game, a Thursday night game, a Monday night game, and a Sunday night game. And let's say you watched one of the 1 o'clock slate games. That leaves you with 36 hours of football that you missed.
Facts.
Plus, yeah. All right. And not only that, he doesn't just cover football, he covers basketball. And they play like there's a shed ton of those games as well. So when you realistically talk about it, he probably doesn't know the ins and outs of that game. He probably watched extended highlights, or like he has a team of media people that sit there and watch for him and go, right, these are my notes for the Buccaneers game. Here's my notes for this game. Here's my notes for that game. And he might have a couple that he watches himself. He'll have some that he watches himself. Probably the teams that he likes. So he probably watches the Denver games. He probably watches the key games of the big matchup games himself. Yeah. But yeah, it's very difficult to turn around and say have that much of a fair opinion, which is why we can turn around and say we can have an opinion about the Bucs because we are so invested in it. I couldn't talk about how bad another team is because I haven't really watched them enough. I can go off their record. I can go off what the stories are being span out. But yeah, that's it really.
I hear that, and we can go to again. Dallas don't travel well this year. They don't.
Yep.
They're Colin Cowherd, and I can't believe we're quoting this guy. He has his moments, but he said it. The Cowboys are a team like teens. They're emotional. They can look good, but then when shit goes bad, there
are teams who punch them in the fucking nose and make their nose bleed. They're too invested. I need to stop the bleed. I need to stop. I don't want to bleed on me. Oh no, my beautiful white shirt is covered in blood. What do I do? Oh my god! And before they know it, they've lost the game.
Nobody makes me bleed my own blood. That's exactly how they are. And then look, and they've struggled with consistent success that creates something that they've lacked. However, unless we figure out how to create pressure without blitzes, well, look,
this that's never going to happen because Coach Bowles' entire MO is blitzing. It's never going. That's not going to change. I mean, if you can get home with 4, then of course you don't blitz. But if you can't get home with 4, and well, we play a 3-man front, so if you don't get home with 3, which let's face it, a 3-man front, you'll never you kind of have to blitz here and there. It's just what it's designed for.
I agree, and I'm glad you said that because I told people that's the scheme. That's not that the players are doing a terrible job. That's just how it is. Just think about it. Those 3 guys. They're going to get mushed by 5 people, and it's the edge rusher's job to make shit happen, and we don't have that yet. That's why I tell Buck fans, you know me, Slick, that's why I'm dead set on man coverage to at least kind of help out a little bit by disrupting timing, because we don't have that yet. And we can, maybe after this season, free agency or draft. But right now, the Bucs defense, in a way, we said this before, back early, the first 10 weeks, the defense had to be the hero. Now that the season is getting late, it's the Bucs offense turn to return the favor, and that's what they did. The passing, again, like I said, was superb, spectacular. They were making plays. They were doing some screen passes. The Jags have weapons, and I'm afraid a top-tier QB will pick our – yeah, but as James –
they have weapons, but they don't have a lead. Who's the lead dog? If you turn around to me and say, who's the lead wide receiver? Who's the one that you're like, oh, my God, that dude's suiting up?
Ridley, maybe.
Yeah, but he's only got 700 yards.
Yeah, no, and that's why I do.
He's playing like a wide receiver too at this point.
Right.
Which is what he's always been. That's what he's always been. He's a very, very talented wide receiver. Like there's levels to this, right? So let me just chuck Calvin Ridley in just to be sure, because I don't want to lie, and I know it's 700 and something. So let's have a little snoop of why he's that.
Yeah, I don't. You might be onto something.
Let's have a look. So he is 780 for 5 touchdowns. So I said 4, he said 5. Yeah, it's okay. So he's not elite. He's not elite. He's not in the 1,000-yard mark. He probably won't. He might scrape into the 1,000-yard mark. Definitely won't. Probably won't if his quarterback's not playing for the next 2 games.
So essentially, like you say, he's a number 2 receiver.
He's a number 2 wide receiver. I'll have a little look at the Jacksonville Jaguars this year and see where everyone else is at. Evan Ingram can be a problem, in my opinion. He's the thing I worry about the most, because he's a possession receiving tight end, and they can be difficult to deal with at times.
Yes,
they are difficult to deal with, and he's a very good one. You know he's not going to block anybody.
Right. He's a receiving guy. Now,
I'm going to add my little piece here, which is my little game plan for this gentleman.
All right.
I'm going to put my edge defender either on the inside or the outside, and I'm going to say to him, every single play, I want you to get a piece of him. Not jam him. I just want you to smash through him to get to because it's going to throw him off for a split second, and that split second is enough for the route to be shattered. Agreed. You're not trying to hold him at the line of scrimmage. You're going. I want you to get to the quarterback by going through him. Well, going through half of his body.
I like that. No, I like that, because also eventually that could beat him up as the game goes on. That could wear him down.
Block shed him, even if he doesn't want to get fucking touched. Like, get a hold of him, throw him around, move to the next part, and then at least then you'll keep it. If you do jam him up, then his timing's messed up. If you don't, at least he's had contact that gives a split second or a second or 2 seconds, that it gives your linebacker to get the read, or your outside linebacker to get the read, to then play defense on him. That's how I would probably play him personally.
I like that. No, that's actually really good, because I was thinking about more of the fact that when you do guys like that, you're beating up eventually. That one step by the third or fourth quarter, it's a little extra slow, because, like you said, battered and shit. I've been running
through defense is beat the fuck up though, dude. I'm just looking at it now. Like their week 15 injury report: DB out, groin, quad. Andre Cisco, DB. I know that's a safety. He's out with a groin. James Agnew, he's a wide receiver / cornerback, questionable shoulder. Christian Brashwell, DB limited, questionable hamstring. Hamstrings can take a while. Ezra Cleveland, offensive lineman. So there's Walker Little, that's another offensive lineman. Trey Hendon, cornerback, DB, and that's it. So
I agree. We have a legit shot after this game.
I'm going to look at their team now. I'm going to need to look at who's starting in their team. I need to do it.
Yes, we said this, Slick. We said we did our little percentages, and we said at first, before he was like, man, them winning out, man, that's a 10%. But now, and I said it,
every time you win, that percentage gets higher, right?
Yes.
And then it gets even higher because their quarterback's out. Then you look at their injury report. Okay, now I do agree with you. Like, if we win that game, it does make the Saints go, oh God, this is harder.
Yes.
And we should be we should be flying high, going right now. We got the Saints. We beat the Saints. It is done.
You beat the Saints.
It's done.
And thank you. You beat the Saints more than it's done now. You don't have to put your starters at risk. Let's be real.
You're still guaranteed to have a winning record.
Right, and you will
guaranteed to have a winning record.
Yes, and we're good enough to where we can beat the Panthers with a few starters out because they'll be packing it up. James said it. They're going to pack it up. The Panthers at this point are going to be just ready to call it a day so they can get back home. Like he said for New Year's, like, oh shit. All right, let's get ready to go to Barbados, guys, after this game. But yes, the Bucs beat the Jags here. You beat this team. And if I'm the Bucs, you go all out and beat the fuck out of the Saints. I want the Bucs to put the Saints down. You embarrassed them. In my opinion, it's like, if we don't beat them by more than 20-something points, we didn't do anything right. Because that also is a momentum build. As you said, this is a rivalry. For all we know, if the Saints do win this Thursday, they'll be pumped. They'll say, yeah. And if we win, okay, can you imagine how big the game would be if both teams go in at 8-7? You said it. Whoever wins that game, basically.
Technically, the Buccaneers could lose it. But the problem is they have to hope that the Saints lose their last game against the Falcons. And you don't want to get into that situation.
I don't want that situation.
I wouldn't be surprised if both teams go into that game having not lost and they have the exact same record. Because it's almost like, I wouldn't say it's a fairy tale, but it's a good story. Whereas if the Saints lose, it's so much harder for them because they have to beat us convincingly. They have to put like a good chunk of points on us to beat us. And then it still goes to the last game of the season. They still have to win the last game of the season, and as do we, but it becomes inherently harder. So if both teams win their games and go into that one, and they kind of get a mini bye as well. That's the thing that we got to keep in this as well. If they play Thursday Night Football, they're going to have a bit of a mini bye. So.
Yeah, look, at the end of the day, I wish nothing but badness for the Saints. I don't care if we do come in there and they're limping. That means we put them out their misery. Take Oyella to the shed and put that punk ass Saints team out so we don't have to worry about anything.
Okay, I'm gonna have a look at. I've got the depth chart and I've got their injury report. So Tyson Campbell is their starting corner.
Yes.
Andre Cisco is their starting safety. So they're down. Their free safety and their corner, their starting corner. Zay Jones, wide receiver. Trevor Lawrence is questionable. He's going to be out. Like, let's stop it. Christian Blackwell, where's he at? He's not even listed, so he's someone they've literally signed off practice squad. I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Let's have a look. What else they got? Chris Claybooks. He's not even listed on their website roster.
Yeah.
But he's another guy that they pulled off their practice squad. So they are limping. So their current guy is Trey Hendon. Trey Hendon and Rashawn Jenkins are their main two. I would say attack them with the pass.
Mm-hmm.
Just for that reason only. Their linebackers and everything like that. Josh Allen's still playing. Trayvon Walker's still playing. Luvacon's still playing, so they've got good. Devin Lloyd, I don't know much about him, but I know Luvacon is a really good player. Their line, I don't know any of their names. Like, their names don't stick at me. I think they're good. They're just good players. I think our offensive line can handle. It's handling Josh Allen's going to be the biggest thing for sure. Trayvon Walker's good, but look, one of them's going to go up against Tristan Wirth and is going to have a no day. That's a fact. He's going to have a no day.
Absolutely. Tristan Wirth is going to dog. And as you said, if they're smart, you put Josh on the other side, and that's not even a guarantee.
Josh Allen he gets upset. He's a bit. He's one of those people who can wind up. So I wouldn't be. I think he's been ejected before as well this year.
Yeah. Yes. But here's the thing. The tackles are such as our strength. Gedke is, to me, the most surprising guy of the line this year. Again, I didn't know what to expect. But that's, like you said, that could be frustrating because if Josh doesn't win on Gedke's side and they say, man, well, let's go to Wirth's side, that shit ain't going to be worth it because then he's just going to boom. And the thing is,
That's the
if
T-shirt. Not
Rashad
worth
is
it. Just a picture of him
not
like
worth
that.
it,
Set, ready to
like
go.
not worth it.
Not worth it.
And that's the thing with Rashad White. He has basically become our little Alvin Kamara. He is good. He can run a little bit between the
He just
tackles.
keeps getting better, and he's got progressively better. I like it.
Yeah.
You look at how we were talking about him in the beginning of the season, and we were
Yes.
like, we need to go and draft a running back. Now I'm not that stressed about
Yeah.
drafting a running back. It's nice not to
Me
have a
neither.
problem now. I still think you've got to look at a center and you've got to look at another guard. And I think you're probably going to have to look at another wide receiver just to be safe. Tight end seems pretty set. I don't think I need to worry about tight end too much. And then on defense, it's safety, linebacker, and then a pass rusher.
Oh, yeah. Well, now it depends. If there's a pass rusher you cannot pass, you get that first and then a safety. As you said, it just depends who's in the draft. Like you said, I do want to. I
think you can get good safeties in round 2 as well. Yes. It depends on who's on offer in free agency as well. I mean, there's so many variables to this. This is why I don't get too caught up in it until it gets to the end. But when realistically, we can draft 3 players, a safety that's going to become a role player and get more and more, then you've got another guy.
Yep.
You can go get offensive linemen. I would probably go first round pick has got to be a pass rusher.
Yes.
Because second round draft pick pass rushers don't usually amount to much straight away. So your first round draft pick is going to be a pass rusher. Your second round draft pick is probably going to be an O lineman, and your third a center or a guard, and your third is going to be a center or a guard, whichever way round you got it. Fourth round, probably go down the route of a safety, and then you're going to start drafting for depth. It also depending on what comes in free agency, but
free agency, it does, and we ain't. But Buck fans, we are far from that shit right now. We talking about the present because your Buccaneers are doing the damn thing, and Baker again, as you said, he has made a case because earlier in the game when he just let that fumble, I was like, damn it, Baker, you might not be the guy. I don't think you're the guy. Then he showed resilience. And again, he just
got the fight. He's got the fight in him.
Yeah, and but more than that, it wasn't even that too. But his mind mentally, he was on it, throwing passes, zipping shit. And this guy Devin is done, guys. Devin is done, and we're not missing him. Other people have stepped up. He played himself, and it's about time that Bowles. There's no need to cover for him anymore. Apparently, did you hear what Richard Sherman said?
No.
Richard Sherman said, and this is on Undisputed, that apparently Devin didn't want to, he was going to be allegedly that he was going to be put in as a rotational player. And allegedly Devin White said, no, I'm a starter from the beginning and the finish. And that's why apparently, allegedly, Bo said, well, then you don't play. So in a way, it seems that he could have been allegedly demoted.
I'm just looking at now from Joe Bucks fan. I'll have a look a bit more about that in a moment. White asked. He said that White asked to start. Interesting.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't want to build too much into it because I generally don't care. We've got what's working is working, and it's working. So that's all that matters to me.
That matters.
I'm not worried about that. And someone put up, we should tag Devin White and trade him. Like, for what? You've got no. Bucs fans, I'm going to say this right now. When we have a player that's playing bad or not, that you don't like them because they're not very good, that doesn't mean someone's sitting there going, give him a first round pick for that. Everyone else sees what you see. If you think he's bad, guess what the management of every other team is thinking?
He's bad. He's bad. And they want to get rid of him.
You know that a team is trying to get rid of a player, you can lowball the shit out of it. That's how you see players go for bargain. And you go, how did they draft it? How did they trade him for a fourth round draft pick for him? And you think he's already a good player. And it's because you know they're trying to get rid of him. Because the moment you turn around and go, who wants to take my player? They go, what do you want? And they go, third round pick. And you go, fifth. And then all you're doing is competing with the other teams that want him. So they're all talking to each other and go, what do you think he's worth? We might go fourth. Okay, I'll give you my fourth. and it's whoever's got the best
Exactly.
wall.
And
You know what I mean? Someone's going to set the market value of what your pick's worth. It's only worth doing is if someone's looking at your roster going, we really need a linebacker. We really need a linebacker. Levante David, what's he worth to you guys? Yeah. What do you want then?
go
You,
fuck
you turn
yourself.
around and go, okay, well, Levante David is the final year of his contract. We'll offer him for this, this, and this, or no, he's not on the table. But you can set the price because they're coming to you. The moment you are saying, guys, we have a player, please take him off our hands, he's worth less.
Less, exactly. Levante at this point right now, if we were to say if a team is a Super Bowl, like a linebacker away from a Super Bowl, we might be able to get a second round out of that. Somebody might say, you know what? Yeah, we'll do that. Some teams are desperate enough. We'll pull the trigger. Wow, Levante is playing, and he's a veteran, and we are just a veteran away from winning. Second round. As Slick said, when you have to sell somebody off, that's not a good thing. When you have to say, it's like this, when you have to tell somebody that a player is good, that gives people cause to pause. Ooh, why'd you say that? You don't do that.
I want to get rid of my player. What's wrong with him? Nothing. He's really, really good. So why are you getting rid of him then?
Right. That makes no damn sense. But we're not even worried about him at this point. This is just, we are worried about what the Bucs are going to do from here on out. And after this, well, this is what is going to make the Bucs. As we said, if the Jaguars don't have Trevor, we should win.
They don't have their corner. They don't have the safety. You attack that defense.
You attack the defense.
Bacon Alice, do not do what your predecessor did. Your predecessor went against a team that had people off the street and off their practice squad starting, and we barely threw the ball. I understand you want to establish the run. I get it. But when a team is weakened against the pass, you need to take advantage of that. I like your balance. Keep with the balance because that will keep them honest. They can't load. If you can force them to load the box, that makes it even easier. So I get the logic of running because if you can get them to load the box, they go, right, we're going to put another guy in because we need to stop this bloody run. They stop the run, and now that front that defensive backs group that's really stretched because they're injured.
Yep.
Now they've got one less guy that can play the pass as well. So that's when you really start attacking. So there's
absolutely.
I think this is the game built for Dave Canales.
And you know what? I think this past game, the past conference, he did a misdirection. He was clearly saying right before before the Packers, I mean, he said, I'm not going to abandon the run. And in a way, it almost sounded like he was like trying to convince the Packers, like, guys, you see this? He's basically saying he's going to stick with it either way. And Canales came in that game and said, psych, you thought I was. And they just threw all over them because, again, they did shit that I wasn't used to. I think there was one part in the game where they tried to run on first down. They saw
it. The quietest I've ever had your messages on game day.
Oh.
Normally you'll get your our chat is usually full with you. In all fairness, complain.
Oh yes, no. It looks like a girlfriend. It's like a broken up, like a somebody just broke up in a relationship kind of text. You see this?
This one, I think you sent like 2 messages.
Yeah, that was. I couldn't complain. Again, Canales did everything that I was asking. We challenged the scenes. We were challenging. We were the aggressor. And again, Bowles just found. I think he just had a moment with the Lord because he said, "You know what? We're going to be risk takers." When you are aggressive, that is what happens.
I believe if you're aggressive, sometimes there's more faith. I trust us to get this.
There you
he
go.
Believes in us to get this.
And you want to put teams away earlier. Yep.
What about this one? If I'm hearing you guys, we keep Baker and build around him. That's yet to be seen. All we're saying is he's on a trajectory that it's going to be difficult to say no. And this feeds into his next comment, which is I agree that Baker had a good game against a borderline Green Bay team. Shannon has an opinion, and that's it. Baker is a short-term, not a long-term solution. Now, here's the thing about this. You don't know, and you don't want to take a risk of letting a guy walk if they could be special, because it's all about being present with that offensive coordinator, that offensive mind working. At the moment, you've got a good chemistry going. If he does what we've said, 4,000 yards, 30 plus touchdowns, and less than 11 or less interceptions, you kind of have to have that conversation. Now, you can tag him. I would tag him, because someone put in a conversation that was great last night, where they said, who would you got a choice, the safety or the corner, the quarterback? And I went, it's easy. I'll tag the quarterback, because the safety's proven it for 4 years. I've got under no illusions that extending Winfield is not a bad idea. It's a great idea, because you've had 4 years of his career getting better and better and better and better, and he was never bad in his first year. He's just got continuously better every year. So okay, even if we paid for his worst season, he's still very good. Still very good. Baker, you don't know, so it's better to tag him and have a look. Look at how they did with Daniel Jones in New York. They decided that they were going to tag the running back, running backs who get paid fuck all in the league, because they're complaining about how much money they're not getting. You could have overpaid him and said, we're going to give you $17 million every year, which is overpaying. But the problem is, you decided to overpay the quarterback $35 million a year. Who looks for money now? Because you're stuck with a $35 million deficit every year on a quarterback. And apparently Tommy DeVito can outplay him. So
you got the Sopranos man coming in saying, I'm going to make an offer you can't refuse. How are you doing? And out here just slanging, it's just kill it.
And you tagged Saquon, and now you're going to have to pay him. So now you're going to have two people on your roster who's going to eat up close to more than 50 million of your cap space, and one of them you're probably not going to use.
That's right, but this is why it's bad. You
got to know how to be guy. If you've ever got a decision to make on a guy, you look at the longevity of their career, how much that they've done, how the consistency breeds into this. No one's going to argue with you if you go, we're extending you, and we're going to. I looked at it yesterday. I wasn't entirely sure. Safety salaries, I think the highest paid safety is 19 million, and it's Derwin James. You could easily pay him in the 17 million section, but that's not 35 million. It's not 35 million in a city that's got no income tax.
Exactly.
Derwin James plays in California. There's income tax. He's losing a good portion of that salary. So you can go 17 million. We're going to make you one of the highest paid safeties in the league. I think you'd be top 5.
And he's happy.
5-year deal, 4-year deal, whatever you want to do. One fully guaranteed, whatever you want to do. And then you tag Baker, because you want to see that extra year, because you have to see it. You want to have 2 years. Geno Smith, he's not having the year that he had last year. Daniel Jones isn't having the year that he had last year. Yeah, he got injured, but he's never been that guy and even that year wasn't that great. Like, it wasn't.
Not at all. And
compared to Geno Smith's year, it was nothing.
Nope. It was just hype. Again, sometimes certain teams and organizations, when a player looks good, they will overhype it, and then it comes back to bite them. But I'll just say this when it comes to Baker. Depending on how he performs in the playoffs, that's another thing that will show if we build around him. Let's say he goes on a damn tear and we win because of Baker. He throws for 375 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. And then we go to the next round and we lose, but we lose because of the defense, and he played his ass off. That is a whole different conversation, because now you can say, oh, wow, he only needs – the offense was fine. We need to work on this defense, and we would be a few pieces away. And again, now that's where Slick said it. Now you can just tag him and say, okay, do it again. He
wants to be here, so it's not like he's going to say, I deserve a really high-paying contract. Dude,
Yep.
I'd sit with his agent and go, look, we like you, but we need to see more. And it's not the fact that you're not good. It's not the fact that it's consistency. I've got to look after mine, and mine is to run a football team. I turn around to you and go, okay, I'm going to sign you for 4 years, 35 million, 35 million, 35 million, 35 million. Fully guaranteed, 3/4 guaranteed, half guaranteed, and then a small portion, like 25% guaranteed. I can't get rid of you until year 3 if you suck.
Exactly.
I'm taking a risk. If I tag you, I get to see 1 more year, and if you measure up to what you did last year, or within the spectrum of that, then I'm like, and then you're going to be turn around to me and go, it's 40 million. and you'll get
Facts.
that paid, and you'll get that payday because you've got the consistency to back it up.
Exactly. And then you never know that year.
And they're going to get paid that one big deal. That one
Yep.
big deal is going to be a big portion of money. Probably
And
one of the biggest contracts he'll ever sign. He'll sign so far. It's worth it. It's worth it, and you get to see it.
That's right, guys. He's saying it. And that's another thing, too. That 1 year that he doesn't, that tag can happen. Now we have extra money to get somebody else that puts you in the position to you. So you can say, yep, well, thank you for that. You know what quarterback right now wishes he could have that luxury? Your boy Mahomes. Mahomes understands, unfortunately, now what it realized, when you get a bag that big, you can't feed everybody. That is, you're left with the Kadarius Tonys. You're stuck with these guys for a while unless you super reconstruct your contract, and that's where the frustration is. That's why Baker, as we said, I think Baker wouldn't mind if he did that. Oh, you know what? Yeah, one more year to prove myself, because then if they get the right people in, Slick just said it. Now you can go, hey, I did my part, pony up. And we're going to say, yes, sir.
Okay, you don't want to sign the tag. Here's the thing. How about we do this? A 2-year deal, fully guaranteed, half guaranteed, and then it's like signing a thing, and he just gets 1 more year of eligibility, and you're not going to get rid of somebody when they're going to count almost 17 million over the cap. You just can't. But here's the thing.
Yep.
Christian Wirf's going to cost a bomb. At the same time, he's been consistent too, and you know that you have the 5th year option if you really want to go down that route. And you can tag him again, but you don't need to. I don't think that ever needs to happen.
That's disrespectful. We need to sign him.
Exactly. So when you have an unknown, play it safe. We've seen too many teams see the quarterback plays well, and right now he is playing well. It is looking good. He's trending upwards. You overpay for that, you could be biting your ass, and you're when you pay for a quarterback, guys, you're married to them for as long as their contract lasts.
That's right.
Because you can't afford to cut them.
And you don't want to do that. And you don't want it, because that also can send a bad message to the organization as well, to keep other players from saying, well, shit, look at how they're trying to do this guy. I don't want to be a part of that. So that's how they operate, because they're not giving him a chance. Because what if that player says, no, I just need 1 more year of consistency? This is why you have to invest for the right reasons, and you have to be certain. It's okay to make people work for stuff. There's a lot of people, look, we're finding out the hard way with Dean. There are some people right now who are thinking, shit, we might have made a mistake. He can't even stay healthy. We're trying to give him a chance, and that's why
he's been healthy for the most of his career. So this could just be 1 year. So I'm not.
I hope so. But the thing is, it seems like when he was fighting for that money, he played a whole lot longer. He wasn't injured that much either.
Yeah, but if you get soft tissue, you get soft tissue. I
get it.
I don't want to get into that, because I don't think he's being soft because he's got the money, because at the end of the day, he knows it's going to make it harder for him down the line. But just to reiterate this point, if the Buccaneers did pay him 17, Winfield 17 money, it would put him at the 4th highest paid safety. So even if they went down to the 15 million, he's still just under top 5.
I think 15 would be just fine. And you know what? If the Bucs, I say this, the Bucs go deep into the playoffs. Let's say if the Bucs go to the divisional round, those players will believe it. Slick said it, guys. A guy like Evans will want to stay. He'll say, "Oh shit!"
When you have the consistency, you get that quarterback. He gets that 30 touchdowns, 30 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, 4,000 yards. You can't turn away that guy. You look like a fool for letting that guy walk. Doesn't matter. You go, oh well, I think he's not going to. I tell you one thing you don't know. You don't know what the draft pick's going to do, because Carolina put all their eggs in their basket, and now they look like fools. Now he might still pan out. I'm not saying he won't, but more often than not, it's the quarterbacks taken in the middle. Look at some of these players that have been taken. These players that have been taken. You know, Jalen Hurts. What's he's a 3rd, 4th round pick?
I think he's a 3rd round. I think he's 3rd, but
here you go. So there's players within this league that are considered high-end quarterbacks, and they're not drafted where people don't actually fucking know, because it's difficult to quantify it, because college football is very, very different. Yep. The schemes are built differently.
Yeah.
The play calling, 9 times out of 10, is different. The players, some of these people play on loaded rosters.
Yep.
Loaded. It's
Yeah.
hard to turn around and say, is this Alabama quarterback good? Because he's just surrounded by great offensive line, great tight end, great wide receivers, great running back. Like you're built to succeed, and you don't have to be great. You don't have to be great. When you see like Jalen Hurts is a good choice, and the reason why I like Jalen Hurts was because he went to somewhere else and still had success. Now that was still a powerhouse team. Don't get that twisted, but it wasn't Alabama. It wasn't Alabama, and he got away from Alabama and showcased that he could still do it.
And that's what.
And most drafting, I always look at a team that's done less.
Yep.
Sorry, done more with less.
Agreed.
Because then you go, okay, he played in a tough conference, won a good chunk of games, and his stats are good, decent, whatever you want to call it, and they lost 1 or 2 games, right? And they were down to the wire type games, right? It could have been anything.
I agree.
They won their bowl game or whatever. That's the kind of guy you're looking for, but that doesn't even answer it. There's guys out there where I've gone, he'd be really good. I think the quarterback is almost like you flip a coin.
Yes. The draft is it's a guess. It's a game of guess, and
it's an educated guess. There's more tangibles to it, but you don't know. There's no guarantee.
No guarantee. And it's a win some, you lose some, because your first 2 hits might be that thing where, all right, we got it, but then the next 3 guys, you go.
No one saw Patrick Mahomes being who Patrick Mahomes is. No one saw Eagles quarterback being him. There are certain players in this league. Did anyone see Russell Wilson being dangerous?
Nope.
And he's kind of pulled off a bit, but at the same time, he's had consistency since 2011 of being a good quarterback. Yep. I think some teams would bite a team, someone's hand off just to have that consistency for that amount of time. It's so difficult. And considering Russell Wilson for a good chunk of his career had nobody as his offensive line, like that guy ran for his life after that Super Bowl. All he did was run.
Lord have mercy. Look at this. Seahawks just took the lead with 28 seconds left. Boy, it looks like we might get that rematch with the Eagles if we play them. So Yahoo. But I'll wrap it up with my final words I want to ask you. After that game, what is your confidence level going into the Jacksonville Jaguar game?
I mean, I'm gonna give you 2 schools of thought. First one is we won the game. I was super pleased in how we won it. It's high. It's very high. And now that I know, and then the other school of thought is now that I know that they've got players out or recovering from big injury, we haven't lost any starters. I mean, Devin White is technically the only one, and he hasn't started in 3 weeks, and the team's gone on a 3-win streak. So it's not like you're not like sat there going, oh my God, there's this part of the run game that's just not getting filled, and we're just surviving through it. No, I'm not saying it's thriving or anything, but it doesn't feel like we've lost anything. And I think what he offers as a run defender and what he offers as a coverage ring, other people can do. The thing that he does better than other people, and I'm going to give him his flowers here, is he's a really good blitzer. Yes. He's a really, really good blitzer. And when he does get hold of a player, he blows them up to oblivion. I don't need someone to blow someone up to oblivion. That doesn't mean anything. Sometimes you might be able to get the ball out. He has his fumbles on that. He's just good at rocking people and making them fly. But I'd rather them just get on the fucking ground. Just get me at the middle linebacker position. Just get them on the fucking ground. Levante David has one of the highest fumble causing rates in the NFL. If you watch him, he's such a technical tackler. He blows nobody up. He doesn't. He hits low, and his other arm rakes through and rips that ball out. Every single time you watch, his technique is flawless. Now, one arm wraps around the body, and the other one comes in and chops and tries to rip out at the same time. With someone like Devin White, he is looking to blow you up, and you can miss on blow-ups.
And that's that's his downfall. And here's the thing: I like that you say blow up, because then his mentality can blow up in his face if he fails. He's a guy when it doesn't go his way, it's like he can get flustered. I agree with that. That's a great call.
I don't think they've lost anything, and then you've got The safety position seems kind of a bit more solidified. The corners are playing better at the moment. I mean, they haven't gone up against any elite wide receivers in a while. So in a minute, well, that's Chris Olave technically. He's I wouldn't say elite, but he's an extremely good. He's a difference-making wide receiver. He's in that echelon of good. He just hasn't got consistency yet.
Agreed.
So, but the Buccaneers have put it together, and that makes me go into this game going, "Oh wow, okay, we've got a very good chance of pulling this off." And if we do, and the Saints lose, it's all the benefit for us because we can go into that Saints game. And don't get me wrong, I think the Buccaneers will be writhing to win that game because the Saints try and underplay our rivalry because they try, the Cams, they turn around and say, "Oh, it's not really a rivalry. Our rivalry's with Atlanta. Their rivalry's with somebody else. There's no rivalry." Yeah, they're the ones doing discos when they fucking win. You know what I'm saying? They're doing the disco when they win, and rightfully so. I've got nothing against it, but you can't turn around and say the game doesn't mean anything to you when you got James Winston dancing around on fucking crutches. That's bullshit. Don't lie. Stop it. That game meant something to you. And you wouldn't be sat there going in front of cameras, and your head coach is dancing around like a fucking goofball, and you don't do that in any other fucking game except for against Tampa. You want us, and we want you.
Exactly, and that will be an important game. Everything you just said is the same thing that I would essentially say. Yeah, I feel high on this game. If the Bucs offense continues this consistently, the Bucs are dangerous. That's all I'm gonna say right there. The Bucs will be dangerous, and
cold weather doesn't affect Buccaneers. That's one thing we've just found out. It was I mean, I go by Celsius in my country, so it was -1, which is freaking cold. It's cold to me. Like if I turn around to my kids and take them to school, it's -1. They want to put their jackets on, they want to put their gloves on, and they want to put their woolly hats on. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I don't know. I can't remember the conversion of Fahrenheit, but it's fucking cold. So Buccaneers can win in cold weather. That is it's a nice thing to have.
Yep, it's a nice thing.
And you're going to travel after the first playoff game, right? And most of the teams that are up in the playoffs, I would say, are teams that play cold weather, unless we go to Cali.
Yeah, and I'm actually hoping I can look the way that things are looking right now. I'm just gonna hold my peace. We'll be another hour and a half, but right now it's looking like all we gotta do is catch between the two NFC teams slipping, and we'll be seeing Northern Cali in the NFC Championship, because no motherfuckers going. They're going. They're the best team right now. But
yeah, I think so, and they're very complete as well.
Oh, absolutely. They got everything. They got the best linebacker. They got the best tight end, a real tight end, not a slot receiver.
Nasty tight end.
They got a great running back. They got two good solid receivers. Not just Debo. You could kill you. They got the whole shebang. They're built to win a Super Bowl right now. This is a do or die for them. But with that being said, I'm gonna roll on. Thank you guys again for always tuning in the Aftermath on 102.9 Game Broad Street South Radio. Thank you for tuning in and watching our co-host James Anthony Coleman. But as always, again, you can check us out. Catch me on It's About Buck and Time. That's my personal channel. But again, also check out my personal video to get slick that position. Buck fans, we got to rally up and get this guy in here. He deserves it, and he does the damn thing all the time. But as always, you guys take care and go Bucs. Slick, I will holler at you.
I'll holler at you too, brother. See you soon. Have a good one.
You too, my man.
Okay, guys. Thank you for joining us on the Aftermath on 109.2. The Aftermath. It looks like Seattle wins. Hey, we got a game. Buccaneers have got to suit up. They got to go kick some ass. And it's got to be those Jackass. Bucks on me, Bucks on free. 1, 2, 3. Go Bucks.